Sunday Night Safran. Religion, politics, culture, and lisping.
Shalom, Father Bob.
Yes, and to you too.
Shalom, listeners. Tonight on the show, we have a woman who's partaken in Brazilian voodoo ceremonies, telling us all about that. She's in fact going to ring us from Brazil.
From Brazil.
We have Paul Toohey. He's going to be telling us about Mother Teresa and her impact even after death, possibly in spirit form in Australia. We have Kylie Bolton, who, despite her Aussie name,
Married a Sikh.
no, she didn't marry a Sikh, but she's got a very interesting
She wrote the book.
heritage. She's half Hindu Indian, half Ashkenazi. Anyway, she's got a new doco out. Also, we've got a homosexual.
Who?
I'm sorry, we have another homosexual in the studio.
There's more than one in the studio.
Yes.
Who is it?
Darren, who featured in a...
he's in the movie.
A new
Two
documentary.
mums and a dad.
Yes, he's the
So he's
homosexual
there
dad.
himself. Very interesting. I like the look of that movie.
And we also have... What's this? Religious communities sing in harmony?
Yes, the 2000
For Religion Song of the Week.
Parliament of the World's Religions.
And we don't know, podcast listeners, whether you get to hear that or not yet.
And they
We don't know
said-
how copyrighted it is.
Gary Boomer. And they said, you sound nice and friendly on the wireless, but the priest sounds like fire and brimstone. Isn't that sad, isn't it? So I'm taking lessons.
Would it be cynical of me to ask you, or for me even, to pray to Jesus Christ to heal me of my affliction? I have a slightly sore lower back that prevented me from squash today.
Oh, poor
So
baby.
could I,
Yeah, it's all right.
can you say a prayer for me?
Yeah, well, he's
Go.
Jewish.
Go.
Your Jesus is Jewish.
Just say a prayer.
Dear God, bless the dorsal fin of my shark-like friend Safran. We ask this in your name. Whose name?
What?
Amen. All right.
We'll talk
Now,
more
you got
after.
me in trouble
What?
last week
How did I
because
get-
you made me mimic the Aboriginal music at the end.
Oh, no.
And there's a boy on the guest book, he's almost taken me before the court for vilification. He said, you're a stooge, you've been stooged by Safran, and now I've done it again. Praying over your goddamn back, which is really sore from carrying sacks of money.
Is that another subtle racial slur? I've noticed when I went to purchase the takeaway coffee...
I said, has anybody got a phone camera here? Take a picture because Safran's buying.
And the definite implication was because of my ethnicity, I somehow skimp on paying for coffee, which is just untrue. I'm, in fact, very aware of the stereotype about my people, so I always go out of my way to pay
Well, I
for the
withdraw
coffees.
any inference that it was due to a racial weakness or vice, anyway.
Can we talk more after this?
Lupe fiasco with Paris Tokyo. This is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Father Bob, one of the most
I was told to say that.
one of the most loathsome aspects of people who have political opinions, just generally, I'm not saying any particular, just people who are political, is that like they've already like programmed in their brain what their sort of blueprint is of how the world works.
Yes.
And then if any event happens, they just work backwards from the blueprint. I'm talking about both sides, or I'm not picking on one side or the other. And like, for example, maybe right-wing people, if something happens, it's like, how do we sort of backtrack? Is their starting point is, the Quran or something is responsible for this, and the opposite side is, how's America responsible for this? And I remember on September 11, 2001, when the planes went into the building, if you believe that sort of thing, that instantly all these politically left people said, he flew... It was about poverty. It was they went straight into this whole poverty thing. It was like poverty, and that's what happened because it went into the World Trade Center with a symbol of capitalism. It was all about poverty, and then it became it was Osama bin Laden, and people were saying, well,
the richest kid in town.
He's like really like a billionaire. Like, he's like Richard Branson 10 times over. So this whole sort of, it's all about poverty doesn't quite gel. And it was like, no. Then the goalposts were shifted, and it was like, well, no, he wasn't poor himself, but the reason he was able to corral these people into doing it, into getting into the planes and flying them into the building, is because they were poor. He was able to corral those people in because they were poor. And then it came out that they were all like Saudi Arabian. And then it was like, well, I know there's poor places in the world, but like, isn't like Saudi Arabia not really one of those poor places? Which brings me to this thing I read this week, which I found interesting, which was about obesity in America. It's just an article on obesity in America. As adult obesity balloons in the United States, being overweight has become less of a health hazard and more of a lifestyle choice, the author of a new book, The Fattening of America, has said. Globally, only Saudi Arabia fares worse than the United States in terms of the percentage of adults with a severe weight problem. 35% of people in the oil-rich desert kingdom are classified as obese, says the World Health Organization. Yes, so there's your 9/11 conspiracy theorists. What happened? Far from them being
poor and thin and scrawny.
This is your conspiracy theory. World Trade Center Building 8? It collapsed because a Saudi sat on it.
That's not very nice.
What, that bit's not nice?
That's the payback for the other theory.
What?
That your lot planted bombs.
Oh, you think... My lot, the skinny people?
Yeah.
The skinny people who play squash?
Yeah, from, the Middle Kingdom. Anyhow, be that as it may. That's interesting. The Saudis are an interesting mob.
In what way?
In the way that Mr Bush has gone to the Saudis to try to make sure that there is a bastion of right-wingers in the Middle East to control Iran. Can't rely on anybody else. Everybody else is saying, excuse me, Iran is all right. Encourage them, coax them to be good, and they will be even better than you would expect.
There probably are poor people in Saudi Arabia, but they're like the Bedouins or something. But it's not like they can email the Triple J guest book and complain.
The poor people in Saudi Arabia are the ones who are mixing cement and whatever you mix with cement, sand.
The poor people in Saudi Arabia, aren't they the immigrants?
They're imports.
The imports from Asia.
From the Philippines.
Oh, now your agenda. What a surprise that you're suddenly concerned about the one country in Asia that's Catholic. Can anything in your life, can you show any humanity to any group that doesn't come through your church?
Must all go through the Catholic filter.
Why is Filipino with an F and Philippines with a PH?
That's interesting. Thanks for that.
It's like, why is Brazil with an S in Brazil, but with a Z or a Z?
You sure they're not interchangeable?
No.
What about in Lego? What do you play?
Lego?
What's that thing you play with words?
Are you serious? You're asking me how you spell Brazil in Scrabble?
In Lego, yeah.
When you're not allowed proper nouns, you fool.
Oh, you're not you fool. You're allowed to have proper
Except
nouns.
you may be asking yourself...
You
might be saying, John, I once walked by a Scrabble match.
Yeah, I saw...
And I saw the word Japan down there. Ha, John, surely that's a proper noun. But what you don't know is Japan also is a verb meaning to varnish. So,
To Japan something?
Yes.
Ah. Well, there might be a verb to Brazil something. You see?
Maybe. If you would have informed me of this talk break in advance, I would have brought in my Scrabble word list. I'll look it up.
Will you look it up?
There's probably something on the computer I can look up.
What about to Australia something, like squirt the Greeks and Chileans at the tennis carnival?
Or even squirt the Greeks with chili.
Oh, with chili. Or with fly spray.
So you're, of course...
God bless Australia.
The police spraying people
No,
in the
I'm
eye.
a Greek. I'm on the Greek side. I think senior constable blogs could have done other. Like, don't go there. See what I mean?
Not really.
You do? You do? Good. Would you have wailed in and squirted them all with just for the sake of seeing their reactions? Probably.
Anyway, coming up...
Konstantinos Economidis was on the court, playing for victory. You'd get excited even.
I get excited. Do you know the only time my ears prick up in the tennis is when that player Jankovic is announced? I get all excited. What? Like I'm saying, I don't pay any attention.
Not Serena. Serena.
And then I think Weird Al Yankovic is going to be on. I get very excited.
Oh, dear. What fun.
Famous Serbian-American Weird Al Yankovic.
Hey, listen, we're on the wireless talking to somebody, for God's sake, aren't we? I think we are.
No, we're going to go to a song break coming
All
up
right.
to talk about, what a surprise, a Catholic interview about
Paul
Mother
Toohey,
Teresa.
one of Australia's
Paul
leading
Toohey.
journalists. Kate Saab with Cops from the album Crossed Lines. This is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Joining us is Paul Toohey, journalist from the Bolton magazine, and he's poked his nose all around the Northern Territory looking at Mother Teresa's people there. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hello there.
Just a sec, I just did.
I met her.
You met Mother Teresa?
Yep, in Melbourne.
I met her too.
Hang on, aren't you like 12 or something, and then she died when you were 6, Paul, or something?
No. She came to Darwin many years ago. I'm not quite 12.
Sorry, I hope that didn't sound patronising or
It
condescending.
did, but
It's just it made a particular point in your bio that you're a young journalist for some
what
reason.
bio?
Just a bio I've got here in front of me. I don't know why it says
It
young.
was probably written when I was young.
I should have known by the crayon. Now, we always think of Aussies going over and helping the third world. What are Mother Teresa's people doing in Australia?
They've been here for a long time. I think they've been here nearly 25 years. They've moved. They're in Melbourne and Sydney, but they've also spread out across the country, and they're now in Alice Springs, they're in Tennant Creek, they're in Katherine, they're in Darwin, and that's where I met Mother Teresa many years ago, probably 20 years ago, when she was coming over to say hello. And that's right, we often think of, we don't think of ourselves being missionarised, if there's such a term. We think of other places, the Sudan or perhaps Bangladesh or
But are these people actually, are the nuns that are Mother Teresa's people in Australia, are they Australians or are they from overseas?
No, they're foreign. They're foreign people. As the ones I've met certainly are. They're Bangladeshi, they're Indian, they're Filipino, they're even New Guinean.
And they all, that really, because we obviously have a superiority complex, us Aussies, us white Aussies, thinking if anyone needs any help, it's over there. But obviously we need some help. What kind of help do these overseas Mother Teresian nuns think Australia needs, that they're going to come all the way from the third world to the supposed first world to help us?
Well, funnily enough, I always thought that they were here to assist Aboriginal people in any way they could. And in Katherine, where they run an aged care home, that's pretty much exclusively what they do. But not so much in Tennant Creek and Alice Springs and Darwin. They see themselves as assisting anyone they can. And while in Tennant Creek and Alice and Darwin they often deal with Aboriginal people, they see themselves very much in a role of going around and visiting lonely white people who they believe are a real problem in Australia.
That's what she said, Teresa. When I met her, she said, look, sport, she said, Calcutta, we mightn't have much in the way of money, but we've got a soul. But she said, I'd walked past a drunken man in Fitzroy, she said, last week, and he's lying in the gutter. She said, I was shocked because I'd never seen such poverty. In other words, we've got a few bob, but she would maintain that we've lost our soul.
Their view to me was that while a lot of us despair about Aboriginal people and the sort of things we see, the intervention and stuff like that, she said their view, these Tennant Creek nuns, was that these Aboriginal people had a contentment that we didn't really appreciate and understood, whereas they said the most heart-wrenching things they'd ever seen in Australia were visiting homes in Tennant Creek and old people's homes where non-Indigenous people were just waiting to hear a friendly voice. And this is something Tim Costello has talked about on his return from overseas jaunts.
Perhaps white Australia largely has less dedication to the family unit, the big family unit, and caring for old people than other cultures.
Well, I think if white Australians were content, the Sisters of Charity, Mother Teresa's crew, would see themselves having a lot less work to do. But that's what they do. They a lot of their work is actually rolling up their sleeves and cleaning places. But really, that's just a ruse. What they're really doing is visiting people.
What do you got to say about who's the critic of Mother Teresa? Hitchens, isn't it?
Christopher Hitchens.
Can you have a swipe at him just for 1 minute?
I like Hitchens.
I like Hitchens too.
So do I.
But I haven't read The Missionary Position.
Oh, no, fair enough.
That's the one where he claims that Mother Teresa was more about trying to save poor people from Jesus rather than giving them soup.
Yes, yeah. Well, do you find that around the traps in Australia, Paul?
What's that?
That these women are, in fact, trying to help people because they want them for Jesus or just because they want them as people?
They say to me that they're not counting souls. They're not converting, and that just seeing them around, people would seem to confirm that they're not trying to force people to go to church. No. They're not. They're pretty widely liked, I think, up here.
Yeah. And they're certainly widely liked in Fitzroy.
And it's not like everyone has to do everything. It's not like the nuns, that their contribution to these lonely people might be to provide them with company. It's not like they also have to provide them with food and do everything.
No, well, that they see that as pretty much their main role. I would have
to provide company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as my place today. I mean, there's people staggering around my place, ringing doorbells and all the rest. We're shut, for God's sake, for the silly season. But that mean that people from public housing are still walking around saying, geez, I wish there was somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Well, my place should have been open.
Now,
that's the dedication of those Mother Teresa women.
Paul, what are you doing to make sure you're not an old, lonely person?
Having children, for starters.
Ah, yes. And I guess you better not beat them.
And smoking and drinking way too much.
Oh, so you die young.
Yeah.
It's very clever. Very clever. Now, what are you working on? What are you going to poke your nose into now? What's your next?
Well, I'm between jobs. I'm leaving the Bulletin and going back to the Australian newspaper, my old home. And in the meantime, I haven't really had a break. I'm working on a quarterly essay on the emergency response intervention into the Northern Territory, which is
2 sides or 3 sides to that story. Not all good, all bad. What?
It's a little over the top. I mean, I sat in my twig and sort of sang to its tune initially, because I really thought there needed to be a shock, delivered in this place, and so I approved of it to that degree. But if you look closely, I think a lot of it is over the top.
Thank you. That's a.
Paul Toohey, we look forward to your journalism in The Australian, and thank you very much for telling us all about Australia's Mother Teresian nuns.
Goodbye.
Ta-da. From Sydney, PNAU.
Panaur even.
Is it?
Yes.
With Baby. And this is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Pan Macmillan, Australia will not publish a local edition of the book Tom Cruise, an unauthorised biography, due to legal concerns. A move that has been labelled as an act of censorship. And several of the bookstores in Australia say they will not be stocking this book. That Dimmicks and Angus and Robinson say they have legal concerns about the book and will not import copies directly from the US publisher even. So not only will there not be an Australian printing, there won't even be importing, but some independent bookshops say they will.
So lots of stuff about that in the press.
Now, the interesting thing about this, you see, how am I going to twist this into my usual pro-American, editorial, is that in America you can publish it because the defamation and libel laws are a lot looser, which means you get away with more, whilst then you come to the Commonwealth, like Australia and England, and you've got to be very, very careful. And it leads to things such as censorship. To wit, do you remember those protesters, the McLibel 2, who were they were handing out pamphlets bagging McDonald's, right?
Yes.
And because they were doing that in England, McDonald's could go there and try to sue these two for libel, whilst McDonald's could never actually do that in America itself. In America itself, people can go around handing out pamphlets calling Ronald McDonald an evil-fanged clown, and no one can do nothing about it.
I was looking down the list of what they said a Scientologist. In fact, if there was an accident in the street, a Scientologist would, of course, immediately stop because he alone would know what to do.
The what?
This list, Scientologists are the most skilled practitioners of mind work.
You reckon?
Well, no, I'm saying I'm reading this list, and as I read down it, I thought to myself, well, geez, you could probably say that Christians or Buddhists or somebody else may well think that they are the best endowed persons in certain crisis situations. But Scientology said that they are the best at crisis situations involving the human mind. Why do we take such exception to Scientology?
I get this isn't my point of view because I love all. But I guess someone could make a distinction between, say, Catholicism and Scientology by saying the Catholics believe in nutty stuff or just unprovable, irrational stuff like Jesus rose from the dead and so on and so forth. Except the Catholics put their cards on the table from the start.
But you're saying the Scientologists don't?
Yes. So the argument, people would say people are lured into Scientology because they think it's some sort of general self-help type thing.
I understand.
And then once you hand over the cashola, then they drop Xenu, the space alien, onto you.
Yeah, but
that's not my opinion, by the way, Scientologists. I like you. I think you're very interesting.
Well, they're interesting. They must have filled a damn gap over the last 50 years when people were floundering around the place in psychiatry and psychology and psychotherapy and God knows what else, aversion therapy and all the therapies. In comes little shining Mr. What's his name? Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Who then says...
Not to be confused with LL Cool J.
Who?
LL Cool J.
Why would you confuse J. Hubbard with...
L. Ron Hubbard, with the L. They both start with L.
All right.
But it's because LL Cool J is Ladies Love Cool James.
Oh, that's nice. Now, you put me off entirely.
No, go back.
You,
sorry,
kiddies.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I can't remember. No, back to Hubbard. I'm saying he comes along and says, look, kiddies, you don't have to go to the specialists out there waiting to take your money off you in psychoanalysis. Do it yourself. DIY, BYO. Bring your own nut with you and do it yourself with this little electric machine known as...
the E-meter.
Exactly. See? Now, BYO and DIY...
Not to be confused with just an E.
No. You see? That's right. I'm not saying any out there, if the church police are listening, I'm not saying anything about Scientology.
Bob, you'll be happy to know that you don't have to abandon your Catholicism to join the Scientologists. They kept on telling me when I have been in communication with them that you can be both. I don't have to abandon my Judaism to become a
No. Do you think they're not... I can't see why they wanted to be the Church of Scientology.
Well,
was it to give them protection?
Well, the cynic's argument is that, and again, Scientologists listening, this isn't what I believe. I'm just passing on what other people believe.
Exactly. We're innocent.
That one argument is it was a cynical move by L. Ron Hubbard so he could get sort of like tax exemptions and all sorts of things like that.
Mm.
The artwork on Scientology publications is significantly better than the artwork on... I'll throw it out there, on Jewish publications.
Yeah.
I mean, the best we ever had when I was growing, I had picture stories from the Torah, and that had pretty good, of a cartoon of Jonah and the whale on the cover. That was okay, but besides that, the Scientologists just blow everyone out.
Well, they've got so much talent, you see. Scientology attracts talented people, doesn't it?
It does.
Are any Jewish people attracted to Scientology in your experience?
Jerry Seinfeld apparently went to a few sessions. As Will Smith, apparently, I'm reading on PerezHilton.com, also is maybe hanging about with the Scientologists.
Oh, yeah.
Dabbling.
Yes. Right.
So kids, it can't be wrong. Think of all those cool people who are dabbling with Scientology.
Maybe it's for you. You've done no E-meter test yourself.
I have.
Did you?
Well,
What came up?
I don't know. It was confusing because I was filming at the time, so I don't know what was true and what, But I did when I was in uni. I did the free personality test.
Oh, yeah.
And I went in, I giggled on the outside because they asked for your name. You don't want to put your real name because just say I was paranoid. Scientologist, I was paranoid of you back then, but not now. No. Now I'm not.
Yeah.
But back then I was. So I said my name was Henry Rollins, who was the lead singer of the Rollins Band. Back when I was
original,
at uni.
Wasn't that was a...
And he wasn't that popular back then. Like now he's a bit more kind of popular and people know him. But back then you could say you're Henry Rollins and they did not make the connection that you weren't this 6 foot muscular tattooed
They didn't notice that.
metal singer.
Now, but where's the printout? Did you get a ticket that came out of the machine that said this boy needs
apparently,
professional
yes,
help?
apparently I had lots of potential.
Yeah.
Particularly, they said I was very talented.
Yeah.
I had lots of potential, but low self-esteem. Oh. And that's why I needed to purchase a copy of Dianetics.
Which you did? Be honest. I mean, this is...
I don't want to say I didn't because then you're going to bring up you're going to bring up the whole thing that I'm cheap again. But I happen to not. I claimed that
You stole it, in other words.
I said my housemate already had a copy of it. I said my uni flatmates already got it. I said it like that, which was just a total lie because I was still living at home with my parents at that point. Did I ever tell you that the only reason I ever moved out from home is very embarrassing, right?
No, but this is a scoop.
Well,
I
never really had a problem with living at home with my parents. And I was never loafing around or whatever. I contributed. I washed dishes. Oh, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, when I went on Race Around the World, the ABC show, so the first time I got in the public eye, and then I come back, and then I'm getting interviewed by journalists, and it just kept on coming up because they always ask, oh, where do you live? There's all these standard questions or whatever, and it was in the paper in a couple of articles, John Safran, who lives at home with his parents, and I was like, oh God, it was just too humiliating. So I moved out with.
You bumped the parents.
Yeah, bumped the parents just so I had some dignity.
For your CV?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh. Well, that's an exclusive interview. I thought that interview technique was quite good of mine.
In what? In that you lulled me out of it?
Elicited out of you.
I was too busy being paranoid about the Scientologist, and I didn't realise you were creeping up from behind.
Creeping up from behind.
Oh, no.
So you can... I can market myself now as I got the truth.
If any Scientologists want to co-host the show, you can. Scientologists are always welcome, and you can even talk whatever you want, and I won't challenge you on anything. Seriously, seriously, just come in, and you don't even have to be a guest. You can even host the show. It can be a special
yes.
a
guest
special
appearance.
Episode.
Yes.
You'll be like the Daryl Summers. I'll be like Ozzy Osbourne.
I'll be like
Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy Ostrich.
I'll be like Dickie Knee.
Death metal in my head.
Dickie Knee.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, listen, this lady is in Brazil, for God's sake. Why are we keeping her waiting?
I have no idea. Let's go to a song.
Reverend and the Makers with Heavy. This is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Please introduce our guest, Father Bob.
Our guest is, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Carmen Michael, author of Chasing Bohemia, A Year of Living Recklessly in Rio de Janeiro.
Hey, Carmen, how are you?
Hey, I'm well.
But you're not in Rio at the moment. Where are you?
I'm amassing on the border. I'm in Buenos Aires actually at the moment. Yeah. Just had a few visa hitches of the morning, and so I've sort of been stuck in Kafka's The Floor Between the Floor before.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a bit combination of Kafka and maybe what's that film, Midnight Cowboy? Maybe yes.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
Yeah, one of the, it's okay though. Yeah, we're just,
the happiest people in the world.
A lot of patience, yeah. Look,
that's what you're saying, they're the happiest people in the world.
In your book, Chasing Bohemia. But let's cut to the chase. We want to hear about the crazy voodoo religions going down in Brazil.
The candomblé.
What is candomblé?
Well, basically it's an Afro-Brazilian religion that... I guess developed when Brazil started importing all the slaves that came over from Africa, and they brought because most of those slaves came from different regions within Africa. They they I guess developed their own form of a combined form of an African religion, and then obviously added in a little bit of a dash of Catholic religion in order for them to be able to worship it freely. And I guess it sort of all started in Salvador, in the north of Brazil.
So they had their African gods, but then they attributed different Catholic saint names to the gods, so the white people
right.
were suspicious.
I guess it's quite a common thing through sort of colonial South America, but particularly in Brazil, where initially they obviously worshipped their own sort of African gods that they brought out, but obviously that was seen as sort of subversive after some time, and so the only way that they were able to worship them was to attribute Catholic saints to them. And I mean, I think there was a time as well where even the local missionaries were out there were getting a little bit suspicious of how hard they were worshipping Jesus, suspecting that their motives were not pure, and so there are things like that happened along the way, and
Have you been to a candomblé ceremony?
Yeah, I've been to a few, and you sort of get dragged along to candomblés when you travel in Brazil as a tourist. You get dragged along to sort of the inevitable touristy one where you get sort of stuck there for hours on end. But the one that I guess is most memorable to me was one in Rio, and I think I'd been in Rio about sort of 3 years at this stage, and I my partner at the time, a Brazilian musician, and I'd been to say,
your partner at the time.
Winston
Partner at the time. So what, this international romance didn't flesh out into a lifetime marriage or anything?
Oh, no, partner at the time. No, well, my partner, my partner Fabio, who...
Oh, Fabio, sorry. Winston Churchill, I was introducing.
Oh,
wrongly,
no,
sorry.
No, sorry. This is, I've given away the story already. But basically, we went up to this, candomblé, what they call a terreiro, which is it's a sacred ground in the favela of Rocinha. And Rocinha, I don't know if you've ever seen, photos of Rio, but it's that favela that's sort of is draped across the hill at the back of Ipanema. And anyway, we went up to the top there's a new terreiro at the top, and we went right up to the top, and it's just above what's called the Boca de Fumo, which is the mouth of the smoke, or where the drug dealers all hang out in their guns and stuff. And, just above there is this candomblé terrace, and you pretty much, you turn up there at about 10 p.m. and when we turn up there, this was a real candomblé session, but you turn up there and there's sort of, I guess, about 12 or 15 women dressed in white. They're generally run by women, the candomblé ceremonies. And anyway, this one was for, it was in aid of fertility and wealth and a couple of things. And there were 3 different sections to the candomblé. And so we arrived and basically went through the first 2, and people were coming and going, and people coming in before they went out, with their girlfriend, get a little bit of a blessing, sort of walk on, and and the woman, the what they call the Maid de Santo, who's the woman who actually conducts the ceremony, goes on with.
And what happened in the ceremony? Are there drums and stuff? And
it's very
any sacrificing?
Very musical. No sacrificing. That's in that's Black Umbanda. So not in Macumba, which is that's kind of a lot tamer. There are ceremonies. There are sort of sacrificial ceremonies that happen, but the one that we went to that night was was just more of a local sort of, it really had the environment of a local party. But anyway, we turned up at about 2 a.m. after they'd sort of gotten the fertility and the money requests out of the way. They have these things called orishas, which are these things that are aligned to the saints. So they've particularly got one which was always a bit of a problem for the colonists, which is this character called Eshu. And anyway, he came out of his box at about sort of 2 or 3 in the morning, and Regina, the woman that was holding it, was about 89 years old. So at the start of this session, she starts handing around alcohol for everyone to get, absolutely, just to get in the mood, to get, for us to start, getting the feeling of Eshu, Pardon?
No, nothing. Go on. Sorry.
Anyway, so Regina disappeared, and she came back about 5 minutes later with her consort, which was a transvestite prostitute, which a lot of the times, one of the key consorts of Eshu, which is one of the people they worship, is a transvestite prostitute called the Pombagira, and she's meant to be sort of this mouthpiece of honesty. Anyway, Eshu comes back, and, Regina's dressed up in this black cape with a red silk lining and a black top hat, and and a cane in her hand, and she allows this trance to like overtake her, and it turns into this sort of Dracula style figure running around like this group of 30 people, and by this stage it's like sort of 4 a.m. in the morning, and like we've been drinking, and there's drums going feverishly and people whirling and twirling into trances, and you're in a red brick hut, and there's like down the road there's the drug dealers have started up their nightly party, and you really feel that you're in the middle of this really wild environment.
So did you buy that they were possessed, or do you reckon it was more the alcohol?
I think they probably... I think they feel as though they are, and I think that they feel as though they're channeling something. And, I mean, I think the alcohol probably assists with that, and so does the drums as well. Like, even like the sort of constant drumming over a period of like 12 hours is enough to get anyone into a trance. And I think, they're feeling that is just a stimulus, And it's not, they're not drinking, like, they were not, like, sort of sculling, but it was just constant sips going around. And there really was a feeling of a Saturday night party at the Candomblé, and people coming up there. And even though they were taking it very seriously, it was done in a very festive way. There was nothing sort of judgmental about it. Well, so I thought, until basically this couple turned up, and anyway, and they were asking, for advice on this, that, and the other, and everyone could go up and ask. And, basically, this woman, Regina, suddenly launched out at the guy and started saying, "You unfaithful. I know what you do when your wife is not there," which is, she probably does know, because the favelas are really small communities, and probably is unfaithful to his wife. Anyway, and this guy just looked absolutely mortified, because, if you really believe in it, you can't deny them the truth. You could not stand there and lie. And, he ended up agreeing, yes, he'd been unfaithful and all this sort of stuff. And the woman, his wife beside him, was sitting there looking very hurt and upset. And then the Pombajira, who's his transvestite prostitute, consort, turned around and said, "And what about you, you suffering bitch? How you love to stuff us? Stop suffering."
Yeah. That'd brighten up church, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was bright and cheery there. Anyway, I think it was about that stage that it really sort of spun out of control, and they just walked around and just started just telling the truth, I guess. And I guess they live with these people, and they really know the reality of their lives. And I'm sure maybe both of those things were really true. But I guess the whole thing that's really interesting about Candomblé is this idea that there is no good or evil, and that we are just our only objective or responsibility in life is to fulfil our destiny. And so they've got this character called Eshu, which has always been a bit of a problem for everyone, because everyone thinks it to be devil worshipping, and it kind of is, but I always just say, well, it's probably to do with this very practical nature of the Brazilians, and especially the slaves who would have been exposed to inordinate levels of evil through slavery and oppression over the years, and maybe they have just been more pragmatic about evil. So it's a really interesting...
Did you ever think of converting?
Well, you don't have to convert, obviously. You can be a bit like Scientology. They're quite inclusive. So you can be a Catholic Macumbera if you want.
You can be a Scientologist and a Candomblé.
You can be a Catholic Scientologist Macumbera.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Carmen Michael...
Got to read the book. Got to read the book.
Chasing Bohemia.
Got to get the book.
Year of Living Recklessly in Rio. Now, be careful. I hope you get out of the spot of bother you're in now.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
If you can't, just ring John.
And we'll tape it. We'll tape it.
He'll resolve it all, will he? Great.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Faux pas with changes. This is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Father Bob, joining us in the studio is half Indian, half not Indian, writer and director Kylie Bolton, who has a new documentary coming on SBS.
That's like a big gap. Yes, I do, on Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
This very Wednesday?
This very Wednesday.
The documentary called The Wedding Sari Part 2.
Yeah, Wedding Sari Showdown. So, hopefully everyone watched the first one. So then they've all been waiting for the second one.
3 years.
It was only screened in 2006. Yes, now it's 2 years.
And who were we introduced to in the Wedding Sari Part 1?
Well, that would have been Ramona, a Sikh Australian, who secretly married Anu, who was here from India on a student visa. And they eloped. Then both sides of their family were outraged. Her family...
Why were they outraged? What different cultures?
Communities, different
The Sikh
religions, different cultures,
community,
different
yep.
countries as well.
Yes.
So Ramona's family put on a Sikh wedding for her here.
In Australia.
In Australia. And then they went to India for a 5-day, 2,000-person extravaganza in Jodhpur. Now, this was the first time Ramona was back in India for 10 years, and she brought all of her feisty, loud-mouthed, everything with her, Westernness, to India. And part one was very much about her arriving in India and coming to terms, as best she could, with not only the wedding but family expectations.
And how far she was willing to put on a show for the sake of a peaceful wedding.
Yes, exactly.
And be sort of like, the woman who doesn't look people in the eye and wears all the stuff.
Exactly, and just kind of bows and pranam. In India, you pranam, which is like you just bow down to your elders, and even that was a shock for her, and even that was kind of made her question herself.
And why did you have to go out and shoot The Wedding Sari Part 2?
Well, there was more of the story to tell. And I think there was a lot of demand, relatively speaking, for this story. And I knew there was more to do, so I was happy to do it.
And what happens in Part 2?
Well, Part 2, it's like, okay, so she's pregnant. And the mother-in-law comes to stay.
And they're back in Australia?
They're back in Australia. The mother-in-law comes to stay. But not only does she come for 2 months when Ramona is pregnant in a very small house in the suburbs of Melbourne, it also turns out that this baby is going to send Ramona's new grandfather to heaven when he dies. So it was this whole kind of traditional thing.
What does that mean?
Well, in the Maguire culture, which is where Anu's from, this
it's a branch of Hinduism, is it?
Well, it's a community. They are Hindus, but it's a community, a merchant community that's specifically in Rajasthan. So it's a community that's pretty much unto itself.
Yes.
And in the Maguire culture, this great-grandchild is almost like it allows the great-grandfather to go to heaven. And so this grandchild, you'll have a ceremony which is called the Golden Ladder Ceremony, Swan Sopan, and he goes to heaven. And of course Ramona doesn't sort of understand how this baby fits into the whole family structure. So that's what this Part 2 is about.
Does every baby fit into a family structure?
Well, see, do you mean globally?
Like if there's 3 babies and there was a Sikh family, would each baby, in fact, have a mission or a role within that family?
Well, the onus is on the firstborn. So, and so in this case, it was the baby that Ramona was having.
But boy babies or girl babies, does it matter?
Well, it's another thing. It would traditionally be a boy. Yeah, that's all I can say, because I can't give the whole...
Tuesday night?
Are you allowed to say what the 2 possibilities are of what happens at the end?
What do you mean, John?
Like whether they stay or whether they go, that kind of thing. Or does that ruin it?
Well, look, I think this film ended up being about a nuclear family. So it's quite surprising, I think, this film is about being a nuclear family in Australia versus what a joint family in India offers. And so it was quite surprising. It was really surprising for me, some of Ramona's choices and also some of the issues that it raised, this film. So, there were 2 choices. There are 2 families. There are 2 countries. Each one is vying for this new family.
Theory and practice. It's easy to kind of, in theory, kind of go... we're much better here in the West, and da-da-da. But if you're, got some loaded family overseas, perhaps there'll be temptations. Yeah,
temptations, exactly.
But surely we know we're not that crash hot in the West when it comes to the extended families.
Yeah, but I guess you have, your preconceptions of, the third world and, why would you want to go live in the third world, for a long term when you could be in... rich Melbourne.
Well, in principle, so that you could end up being immersed in a wider family, because that in itself is an experience which is worth having, and the Aussies certainly wouldn't have had that. They're adventurous, go and be immersed in a wider family, like that bloke who wrote the book Shantaram, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, now
it's
he
not quite
falls
the
in
same
love,
story.
Isn't it? But he falls in love
with
Shantytown. He's this whole thing's Indian experience sweeps over him, so that itself is a reward.
Exactly. I mean, this is a very different version. In Mumbai, it's Mercedes and servants, and in Jodhpur, it's a joint family system and sort of staying inside the house. But that's India. There's so many experiences. There's so many different worlds within
Every
India.
few yards.
Yeah.
And that's why it was hard when John...
Bob,
What?
there is a Mangalore. So if someone says Mangalore to you, you don't go, oh,
Seymour.
Surely you mean Bangalore. Because there's a Mangalore as well as a Bangalore.
Yeah, but it's not a Mangalore there.
A port town.
Because we've got a Mangalore here next to Seymour in Victoria.
Now, are you going to do a part 3?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
But you'll do something else.
Yeah, that I'm looking forward to.
Yes,
Yeah.
a new thing.
Very much looking forward to it.
Jono's
This
going to
has been
do a
5
new
years.
thing, and we don't know what the new thing is.
What's your new thing, Kylie Bolton? I can't say.
I can't. I'm just writing.
No
so
leaks, no
when I know, I'll tell you.
Well,
What's your new thing, John Safran?
Thank you.
Where I'll tell you
Later.
yes,
After this break.
in Hindu. Thank you very much for joining us,
Thanks so
Kylie
much for
Bolton.
having
And
me.
when is it on? Wednesday?
Wednesday, 8 o'clock, SBS.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it. Howling bells with cities burning down. This is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Now, coming up soon, we're going to be talking to not the director, but the subject of a documentary on 2 lesbians and 1 gay man, Darren. Now, I dropped that DVD of that doco into your little slot at the presbytery.
Yes.
I also, because I'd procured a copy of The Elephant Man.
Why'd you give me The Elephant Man?
I thought you might want to watch The Elephant Man.
I've seen The Elephant Man, haven't I?
I don't know.
In the old days. Is this a new...
It's not new. It's the David Lynch one from the 80s.
Oh, yeah. No,
with the guy
I'll
with
watch
the
it again.
large head.
Yeah, and terrible skin deformities.
It reminded me of you.
Ah, so that...
No, but that sounds bad. It didn't remind me of you because I looked at The Elephant Man and I thought...
Horror.
Yeah, there's sort of like...
No.
There's something about Father Bob's face. That
Yeah,
kind
that's
of,
what I thought.
No, because he's having this... his big anguish is about his mother.
Oh, his mother... My mother's back on the agenda, is she?
Yes, and then at the end, he finally...
What? Exorcises his mother?
Yeah, he finally has... What's that called again in the Joseph Campbell?
You've got the Joseph Campbell jargon.
He has the atonement with his mother, or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the at-one-ment.
Yes, at the very end. So I thought it might be helpful.
Oh, that's nice. So thanks for that. That was a very kind thought. And a very, interfering in a psychic life. Thank you for that, John.
I was thinking when I was watching The Elephant Man, because obviously thoughts turn to beauty and the opposite of beauty. And sometimes if I look in the mirror, I don't look in the mirror often, but if I did look in the mirror soon after The Elephant Man, and I thought it's terribly unfair because I think I'm only millimetres away from being dashing.
Yes.
Like, because I've seen photos of you when you were younger, and like you just never had, you're definitely sort of like, there was just your moon face and the, what do you call it, the jowls flopping out and the large ears.
Physiognomy was not my, greatest asset.
Yes. Whilst I'm sort of in the same boat as you, as physiography.
Physiography.
But if you look at it, doesn't make any sense. Look at my face. It's like a millimetre here and a millimetre there, and suddenly I'd be.
Well, you could be
Brad
anything.
Pitt.
Could be anything.
Yeah, it's not like I've got any obvious, like my ears aren't unusual. There's just something wrong, like millimetres off everywhere.
Well, kiddies aren't running away in the streets crying out to their mothers, "Mummy, mummy, for God's sake, what is this man coming towards us?" No, they're not doing that.
And then me explaining to the mother that I am not an animal.
Exactly. I am a human being like the rest of yous. Yes. Oh, that's a lovely... Don't forget physiognomy.
Physiognomy.
Physiognomy. That was the ancient art, not the ancient art, 100 years plus years ago, when they were keen on running their hands over your head and finding the bumps and coming to conclusions about your intelligence and your talents as a result of reading bumps on your head, otherwise known as physiognomy. All right? Now put that down in your Lego book?
Come out next.
Physiognomy.
We talk.
Is Darren here or is he in the... Where is he?
I don't know where Darren is. No, I don't think he's here. I think he might...
I thought he was here.
Oh, maybe he is here. I don't know. No, he's on the phone. He's ringing it on in. We have Darren, the star, if by featuring in a documentary you're a star, of Two Mums and a Dad.
VHS or Beta with Can't Believe a Single Word from the album Bring On the Comets.
Joining us on the line is Darren, who stars in another documentary, winner of the Dendy Award Best Documentary at the Sydney Film Festival.
I saw
Two Mums
movie.
and a Dad. How are you, Darren?
Good evening, how are you?
And you've got Marley with you.
I certainly have. It's my night looking after him tonight, so...
Marley's the other star of this documentary. Now, maybe give us the little blurb, the background. What's Two Mums and a Dad about?
Well, it's basically a story about two mums and a dad.
And the two mums are lesbians and the
That's
dad's
right,
gay.
and I'm gay, yeah. And it's about our journey going ahead to decide to have a child together.
And are you going to plead the Big Brother defence? You know, they made us look really bad or bitchy, blah, blah, by the way they cut it?
No, not really. I think the documentary clearly shows some of the difficulties faced in co-parenting and some of the challenges faced by that.
But you handled them well.
Well, reasonably.
Well, because it seemed like at the start of the documentary, maybe all three of you were a bit... This is how it was cut. I'm not saying this is the truth. This is why I ask you. It seemed like you're all a bit self-focused and sort of like not really thinking of, oh, my God, the baby is the priority. But then it's like when given birth, then suddenly everyone had to they're forced into just growing up, and that seemed to be the story of it.
Yeah, and I mean, considering now it's, he's 20 months old now, and I've got a fantastic relationship with the girls. My parents have actually emigrated from the UK, so he's got 6 grandparents, he's got 3 parents that adore him. He's never been into care, because we look after him between us, and I probably get more access than I want anyway, so... It's all worked out really well.
Did Kelly have a baby?
Well, we're actually in the planning process and we're due to start in a few weeks.
Now, how do you know this is a good thing for the baby? Like, how do you know it's a good thing to be brought up by two mums?
The thing is, I'm actually a social worker and I've worked with children for 12 years. And I work with children predominantly in children's services. And I've also worked in child protection. So I've had 12 years of seeing children that are not loved by their parents at all, who are predominantly focused on their own issues, whether they be financial, drug and alcohol or whatever, and the child gets left out, basically. Marley's been loved by all of us and given all the support that he needs, and he's got lots of friends, and he's a very happy child. And when it boils down to it, the only thing that children want is obviously they need their primary shelter and all the rest of it, but apart from that, the main thing a child really wants is your time and love. And I think providing you can give that, whatever the family setup might be, there's no way that the child's going to turn around and actually be, well, you never know what will happen in the future, but that's giving the child the best start that they can.
And what about people who say, it's not fair on the child because he'll go to school and then all the other kids...
Well, where we live in Melbourne, there's lots of schools around with children from co-parenting, and there's actually there's actually quite a few schools that exist that have just got children from surrogacy and other schools as well.
And if you go to gay bookshops, I've noticed, now I'm revealing I've been to gay bookshops.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Not porno ones, I hope.
No. The highbrow ones, like Hares and Hyenas. And there's a whole kids' book section with lots of kids' books explaining the whole, two mothers scenario.
That's good.
Now, those two women, Fiona and Kelly, they're social workers too, aren't they?
That's right, yeah.
So I was interested while I was watching the film, the three of you involved in a discussion. It really sounded professional.
We sounded professional or not professional?
Very professional. In other words, you handled the conflict.
Yeah.
Or are you trying to say, Father Bob, they had all the visceral kind of viciousness of regular people, but on the surface level, all their sentences were psycho kind of...
No, I don't mean that. I mean that they handled this conflict
We
resolution.
communicated.
Yeah, very, very. It struck me as being the kind of thing you'd do anyway.
Yeah.
With your.
But not many. But there's a lot of separations don't even do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But what we did is we decided to put time into communicating.
Because there was torrid episodes, weren't there? There were times which were really gut wrenching.
Mm.
And yet the three of you.
You imagine for a bloke, you know, I wanted a child all my life.
Yes.
I've gone ahead, done the deed and all the rest of it, and all of a sudden, a few weeks before he was born, they say, well, we don't want to give you this access.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what can you do? And the thing that you need to consider as well is that fathers haven't got any rights. I mean, they have got rights eventually, but you've got to go to the family law court and spend $30,000, $40,000 to get those
you
rights.
Said that's a lot of money, $30,000, $40,000.
And the crazy thing is, in Australia today, I mean, I made this documentary to actually try to make a difference for future generations.
Yeah.
And we're in 2008. Australia's come a long way, and I think people are a bit more open and susceptible to different family setups. And one of the reasons why we made it, all of us, as I said, was to actually try to make a difference. We didn't get any financial gain out of it whatsoever. And sorry, I've lost my thought there. I got so
Is anybody married? Is anybody married to anybody?
Is anybody married?
Because we had a discussion on a program last week with an activist, a female lady, sexually. I've lost my thought now, but she was saying that in fact the issue of marriage was essentially had to be resolved for people to live happily ever after.
Oh, really?
Same gender attracted people.
It's a bit of a worry.
With you three. There's none of that, is there?
Well, we kind of married when I had my birthday party before Christmas, and I said I've got two wives.
Yes,
so
yes. But that,
I have to maintain a relationship with both of them.
Yes.
One of the crazy things I have thought about it now is that after 2 years of looking after Marley, right from day one, changing his nappy, feeding him, loving him, taking him out to places, all the rest of it, taking him to playgroups, basically like a mother would. I've had to change my hours to work part-time so I can look after him, which has had obviously financial considerations with mortgage rates and petrol going up and everything else. It's not been easy. But I've done all that for him, and he knows me as his father, and obviously we've got a great bond together. But in the eyes of the law, I'm actually still not recognised as his father because I didn't do the deed. So my sperm can still match with the egg, and I can still be his father for 2 years. I can still get access under the law, but under the current law, which was made a reference to in the documentary, is a long way behind. I am still not recognised as his father. I mean, that is crazy.
And that's just because you didn't do the deed, even though it's your sperm.
Yeah, just because I didn't do the deed. And, I mean, in the eyes of the law now, I would still get access, and I could probably even get shared care now because I've got that regular 2-year contact, and I've been his father and helped out and fed him. I've done all the right things, basically. And I'd still be given those rights, but under the eyes of the law, I'm still not recognised as his father.
And aren't you part of a group, Gay Dads?
I used to be, but the thing is, it got so busy, and I was doing so much support at home, the Good Samaritan that I tried to be. Yes. And with having a child as well to look after, I just couldn't do it anymore. And unfortunately, there's a lot of co-parenting relationships that go very wrong. I mean, I've been very lucky, but there again, I've put a lot of time and effort into it.
And
I think
what kind of things go wrong?
Well, there's a breakdown in communication. There's arguments over what they thought things would be and what they're not. Mum at the start, which I had as well, tends to be very protective over the baby, and there's issues there. Maybe some of the fathers. I mean, I looked after children even younger than Marley for a lot of years anyway, so they knew I had the skills to do it. A lot of fathers I've had ringing me saying, I've got the baby in the city, what do I do? It's crying, I need to feed it, what do I do? So, you know, there's those kind of things as well. But I think one of the major problems is, I mean, I still have trouble getting my head around women that I meet that don't want the father involved. I mean, I accept it's a little bit more hard work, but for the child to know its father, I mean, you had the Making Baby series last Tuesday night, and they were saying how distraught they were because they never knew who their dad was.
Does Marley definitely bond especially with Fiona, her his natural mother?
No. He's got the same bond with both mums and with me. Even the same, I mean, he's bonded with all the nanny and granddads and just the same kind of way.
But there's nothing special about the natural...
Well, I imagine there is, and obviously Marley can't say now anyway,
No.
but I think obviously that bond is a little bit different. But I still know that he's just as close and will go to his other mum for a cuddle, or even me. And really, I do all the same things as they do. I had to sort of get used to it from the start anyway.
We've got
Two
three-
mums
three
and
mothers.
a dad. Winner
Sorry?
of the Dendy Award Best Documentary.
Yeah, and the
Sydney Film
amazing
Festival.
thing was, I'll just interrupt there, I was actually in Germany a few weeks ago, and I mentioned it in a gay bar, and there's people in Germany already seen it.
And it's on this week on SBS.
Yes, it is on Tuesday night for the first time.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us, Darren.
Okay,
Thanks,
then.
Darren.
Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Little Barry with long hair.
Religious Song of the Week.
Father Bob, this week we're going to be hearing something from the Building Bridges Choir, which is part of the 2009 Parliament of the World's Religions.
Famous.
Find out what that's all about. We have Professor Gary Baumer, Chief of the 2009 Parliament of the World's Religions. How are you?
I'm well, John.
So what is this? This sounds suspicious, like something we as secular Australians should be nervous about.
Oh, you're very welcome to come too. It's it's one of the world's largest. It is the world's largest interfaith gathering. So people will come from all over the world, people of faith and people curious about people of faith and people with no faith at all, to discuss major issues, to learn about each other, and to have a week of pretty intense dialogue and examination of issues and how one might approach that from each person's position of faith.
And what is the point at the end of it? Is that we all learn to get along, or we all try to proselytise each other and form one?
Proselytization would not be a terribly welcome behavior. No,
Oh, really?
No, but learning about each other and having the experience of working together, just in a sense of discovering how much the world's issues are shared, and that I might have a faith position and you might have a faith position, and they might be different faith positions, but we might come to some agreement about what ought to be done.
And so what happens? Do you all sit around in some room that looks like a parliament, and do you all introduce bills, or what?
We don't introduce bills. There are no votes, and I think that's an important thing. It's Parliament in the ancient sense of a safe place to talk. It's a safe place to express yourself and your religious motivation for being there and a view on whatever issue you're talking about. So it's a safe place. There are no votes. There are no positions. There are no statements. It does not wind up at the end with some grand and glorious motherhood pronouncement that we all ought to be nice to each other. It's more of an experience.
So I can still be racist at the end of it if I turn up. But I was worried. I wanted to come along to mock other people different from me, but I was worried that at the end I'd have to have some kind of
mocking
closure.
behavior would probably be discouraged because we do take each other seriously, and we take the differences seriously.
Why are you bigoted against my mocking of you? That seems unfair, you racist.
John, well, some of us are more thin-skinned than others, I suppose. But if we want to start with respect, which I did detect in a tone behind your mocking, then your playfulness might be welcome.
Is anyone not allowed? What about I don't know, like Scientologists or Mormons, Jews for Jesus, Satanists? Why aren't people the Satanists allowed? We're a religion.
Absolutely. Everything that's one of the nice things about the Parliament.
Yes.
We don't draw a line in saying this group is not welcome that happens to be a religious group, and the ones that you listed are religious groups. And each has a particular agenda and viewpoints. Certainly at our launch, there were Mormons in attendance. They're part of our structure of advisory boards and so on. Scientology was invited. Everything that is of a religious bent is welcome. And that frustrates some people. Some religious organizations, interfaith groups, only deal with the big nine. Well, okay, that's fine. But here, every person of faith is welcome. Nobody comes as an organization. Nobody comes as a nation. And so it's quite different. People rock up as persons of faith, but it's not like there will be a Catholic stand over there and a Presbyterian stand somewhere, and the Anglicans trying to figure out where to sit. much more people coming and then sharing with each other and discovering things about each other and about faith. And faith.
Bob, do you know why my religion's superior to your religion?
Why?
In this context, I mean, many contexts it is, but in this one is because the Jews don't believe that non-Jews have to convert to Judaism. And they believe that, like, as long as you operate, there's like 7 laws that a non-Jew has to follow, and then they get to go to heaven and everything. So, like, when we turn up and we can actually, in practice, tolerate people, whilst your faith, you'll come to these interfaith things and pretend you're tolerating us Jews, when really you're like, you Jews are going to go to hell unless you accept Christ.
Outside there is no salvation. The first parliament, sir,
Yes.
was where?
Was in Chicago in 1893.
Wow, so it's really old.
It was the first gathering of interfaith groups.
Sorry, I would have been more respectful knowing it had such a history.
It really did, and it was an amazing event. It was held on the Chicago World's Fair site, and
Indian Hindus were the key players.
Were very, very prominent players,
Yeah,
and it was the first engagement of West with East. Buddhists but particularly Hindu scholars, Vivekananda and others were there, and it really sparked an opening.
And what are you?
What am I? I'm an Anglican.
The Anglicans. They're quiet and they come across as very gentle
Bishop
and nice
Spong
and non-confronting.
was there in that very seat where
but I
you're
think they're
sitting
all
now.
planning.
Well,
I think they're all planning for
Good
their
bloke?
Bishop Spong's a good bloke in my book, absolutely.
Anglican fundamentalists.
They exist, I regret to say.
Now,
Sorry.
go on.
No, but you're in Australia for years and years and years and years.
Yes.
You see, you've played leading academic roles in Australian society for years and years and years and years and years. But do you think the Aussies are up to it?
To holding the Parliament?
Up to an interfaith relationship to sustain it over a long period of time?
Yes, I do, actually. I think
we're only dipping our toe, are we not, in it, really?
No, I think we actually...
Interchurch, yes, but this is interfaith.
Okay, but that's right. We had a century of the ecumenical movement, which gave a certain kind of way of discovering that we can live with our differences.
Yes.
Okay? And that's a very important backdrop to the way most Christians enter an interfaith dialogue. Now, we did compete for this. We competed against Delhi and Singapore in particular, and about 20 other cities, but it came down to these 3. And a team came around and to suss us out.
So did you have to pitch for it?
Yeah. We did indeed. Oh,
so
absolutely.
For this thing that was meant to bring harmony between the people, you had to argue why we were superior to the Singaporean culture.
Absolutely, we did indeed. We just said, come and enjoy Melbourne, which they did. And they discovered immediately the multicultural feel of this city. They could tell immediately by driving around that we've got every religion known to humanity in a very established form. And so that the churches, synagogues, mosques, ashrams...
Kingdom Hall on Carlisle Street,
absolutely.
Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall.
Absolutely. And then what the killer event was, we had a meeting in the center of the city. We had an auditorium held about 500-600 people. And we sent out an invitation to religious leaders from around town to come and told them what it was. There was a panel there that was interviewing Melbourne about it being a place for interfaith activity. Well, about 400 people showed up. And it was a very colorful place. We had Brahma Kumaris, we had Sikhs, we had Hindus, we even had Anglicans, which was marvelous. And Catholics were there. And these people were then interviewed and asked questions about Melbourne and what would they say about it. And the panel was just blown away. So that we actually have already in place relationships between religious groups, ongoing grassroots relationships that are just world-class and best practice. And they want to say, look, we've got to showcase Melbourne to the world because we think you've got some stuff to offer.
Professor Gary Baumar.
Yes.
Listeners are wondering, what has this got to do with Religious Song of the Week? Well, a highlight of Building Bridges will be the Building Bridges Choir, children's choir made up of secondary students from Christians, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist and Hindu backgrounds, singing. Did you conduct them or anything?
That was an offer. We had a launch of the opening for registrations for the Parliament. We had that just before Christmas. And someone said, hey, look, there's an interfaith choir out there. And it is. And it's part of an interfaith movement in the schools to provide education, to get kids together, get Muslims together with Jews, with Christians, Hindus, etc. And the choir master said, well, I think I can get enough kids together. It was after school had broken.
And how many kids are in this choir?
On the event, there were about 25, and they wrote the song.
And we are going to hear that song right now, Bridges of Life. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor Gary Baumer, Chief of the 2009 Parliament of the World's Religions.
In peace and harmony, we will be in unity. Together we will sing, sharing and respecting. What are we here for? We're building bridges. What are we aiming for? We're aiming for peace. Coming together, we're sharing stories, setting foundations. We are one. We're walking a bridge in our lives together. We are on holy ground. Together, hand in hand, smiles and joy brought to this land. Being there the least we can do. There's no difference from me to you. What are we here for? We're building bridges. What are we aiming for? We're aiming for peace. Coming together, we're sharing stories, setting foundations. We are one. We're walking the bridge in our lives together. We are on holy ground. We're walking the bridge in our lives together. We are on holy ground.
And this is Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Bob, can we talk for 10 minutes?
Well, it was a struggle last week, mate. And I'm not going to imitate the Aboriginal music again.
That's what Sir Peel, the producer, said to me just before we came on. Can we talk?
Can we talk? This is the big test, folks. Can they talk for 10 minutes?
So many things to talk about. Listen,
does marquee mean mother
I don't think I explained my Elephant Man concept well enough. I was expressing agitation that I wasn't attractive, but I miss out on being attractive by millimetres. That's what I was saying. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it does some garbled way. What do you mean millimetres?
What I'm saying is I'm as unattractive, as you, except you missed out on being attractive by a mile.
Physically attractive?
Yes. I missed out on being attractive by millimetres. Like just a little smidge. If God would have just there and there, then it'd be fine. Whilst you, it's like going back to the mould. Yeah. So that's not fair. But maybe it built character in me.
We're not going to talk for 10 minutes the way we're going. But I'm saying...
Can I ask you another question?
No. I'm saying, you see, why don't you take your face to somebody...
Yes.
...and have them, plan, what do you call it, a makeover?
Ah, yes.
And just say, look, this face is almost perfect. Mm. Would you mind, however, just adding a little adjustments so that it will be not only almost perfect, but it'll be stunning. People will turn in the street. Do you really want that to happen?
No, not really. I think, because sometimes it's, you evoke sympathy and vulnerability in your performance.
The thing that gets me...
By being grotesque.
In the street now is, in fact, people look at me...
Yes.
...because they hear my voice and they say, I could not have mistaken that voice. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know whether that's an affliction or what it is.
Can you do me a favour, Father Bob?
Let's talk for 10 minutes.
Besides that. In fact, during this 10 minutes, I've got to... As I said last week, I've got to write this quote for this book.
Yeah.
Where they said the woman...
I gave you several examples last week of what you could write. There is
And
no book
I've started
like this.
reading it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to... Can you take the manuscript? It's only like 200 pages.
And
Can you
what?
read it and just tell me what it's about?
Yeah.
So,
But is it all right or what? I mean, I don't want to slave over it if it's an awful... What's it about?
It's about...
Not filth, for God's sake. You're not going to set me up with filth, and then there'll be a federal police officer waiting inside my wardrobe, and as soon as I open this thing to read, he leaps out of it and says, you're under arrest because you're reading child pornography or something.
No, that should... I don't think
I don't want any of that.
No. I think it's about... It's the author, Yvonne Fiennes, addressing sort of like psychiatry versus clerical help.
Yeah?
But I just don't think I'm going to have time to read it.
No.
But it's going to be awkward because I've got to give the quote, and then also she's obviously going to ask me about the book, and if you can just give me, like, cheat notes.
Yeah, all right. I've got nothing else to do. No wife, no children, no love life, no aspirations, nothing. I can just take another 200 sheets of paper into my room.
Speaking of love life,
yes.
I don't like to talk about my personal life on air, but there's this thing that's been bugging me, is ever since... there's a new lineup on Triple J Breakfasters. Triple J...
What?
Breakfast show.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper.
Yes. With Marique Hardy and Robbie Buck.
Yeah. But you didn't get a mention as
when
leading.
I heard this was happening with Marique Hardy, I thought, this is really good because we once worked at a different place together. And we once went out on this, like, basically a sort of a quasi kind of... I don't want to get into it, but you know what I'm getting at? So when I heard she was coming over here, I thought I'd be able to dangle that over her, if you know what I mean. So,
Do you remember what we did last summer?
That kind of thing, right? Yeah. And because I actually do the hard yards here of promoting this show and other shows. I have to, like, go on other shows and promote this show. So I thought... I'd be talking on that show and I'd say something in code to Marique Hardy and she'd sort of like, ooh, and feel all kind of awkward that I was going to say something, right? Anyway, so then I was on that freaking talking to whatever. And then she got in before me. She dropped it on a bombshell on me and said, John, do you remember that time we nearly kissed, blah, 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 before I... And I had no time to dangle it over her and sort of like blackmail her.
It's slow, mate. Now, listen, what about your other girlfriend?
Do I have another girlfriend? Who?
Selma.
Selma Hayek.
Now she's appearing in a show as a bearded lady.
In what capacity?
As an actress or an actor.
Yeah.
I don't know what the film's called, but I knew you'd be interested in that.
Well, she's already been the moustache mode, what's that word? Mustachioed? Mustachioed lady.
Yeah.
She's played Frida Kahlo, hasn't she?
Oh, is that what they're talking about?
I don't know. And she had very thick eyebrows.
We're not going to make 10 minutes the way we're going, but go on, keep going. So, Selma, you've lost interest in Selma.
Yeah, I have.
I'm not going to go through all these, Yes, righto. Well, what pictures did you see this week?
Do you know my friend said to me this week, minute number... What are we up to about this? 6. That I ruined The West Wing for her. Have you seen The West Wing?
Yes.
I can ruin TV because I said to her, my problem with The West Wing is that when senior politicians are talking to each other, they explain things for the sake of the TV audience that there's no way they wouldn't know. So it'd be like the president's talking to the vice president and he will say, as you know, now this bill has to pass through the Congress and get voted to by a majority of 54% for it to then be passed to the other house. And it's something that they're saying for the TV audience so we know what's going on. But it's absolutely no way the president and the vice president don't know this. And she says ever since I've said that to her,
she spoiled the whole
She can't watch it. She cannot watch The West Wing because that's what everyone does all the time. All these senior people extrapolating for the exposition for the sake of the audience.
Did you start The West Wing DVDs after The Sopranos?
No, I've only watched a couple of episodes of The West Wing. I find
What are you hooked on now?
Slayer.
Who, Buffy?
No, Buffy. Slayer the band.
Sorry. Slayer the band.
Over my life, I've somehow procured a couple of Slayer records, but last week I had cause to get a copy of God Hates Us All by Slayer, and I just can't stop listening to it.
Gee, that must be painful.
I think it's God Hates Us All is their finest album since...
Have you got it on there?
Since Rain in
Are
Blood.
Are you using it as your phone?
No, this is
Cool.
my MP3 player.
Well, play, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't play it. It doesn't work like that.
Well, don't press the thing and it'll come out at the end.
It doesn't work like that. It needs that's just where the headphones go.
You've got headphones on your head.
Bob, you're not going to like it because I happen to know your favourite Slayer
favourite
record is Christ Illusion.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of every week having this fight with you over whether God Hates Us All or Christ Illusions is the better of the Slayer records. What is great about Slayer is you just think they're going to run out of satanic ideas, because it's like every last song on all 13 of their albums is like some anti-Christian angle. It's like, so track number 1 will be God Hate Death, and then track number 2 will be Death Hate God, then track number 3 will be Christ with Fangs, and then track number 4, and you just think, how can they keep this going? They've kept it going for like 10 years. It's a bit like Cypress Hill, where every last song is about smoking Mary Jane. Marijuana.
Oh, dear. 5 minutes. We've done really well, but I still think if you tried, you could get Slayer out of that MP.
Well, I think we will play Slayer as Religious Song of the Week. We're a bit backed up with Religious Songs of the Week.
Have we got lots of them?
Yeah, we've got heaps of them and heaps of guests. But maybe in maybe 3 or 4 weeks, we'll play Slayer.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Serpil is doing her winding
us up because we've tried so hard and we've been so good tonight. And I haven't sounded like brimstone and fire.
Thank you very much, Father Bob.
And thank you to all the kiddies who put up with the absent podcast.
But now there's the podcast. You can go to triplej.net.au/Safran. You can go to the guest book there and write stuff. And Paul Toohey, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much, Carmen.
And have a look
at
my podcast.
Thank you, Kylie Bolton. Her doco's on this week on SBS.
FatherBob.com.
Thank you very much, Darren. His documentary's on SBS. I know people are saying, suspicious to SBS. It's really coincidental. We'll have no more SBS.
Was it coincidental, was it?
And thank you very much, Professor Gary Baumar. And thank you, listeners, and thank you, Serpil, and thank you, Bob.
And thank you to my
seem to
mother.
Have petered out. And thank you to your mother, who you'll one day have closure with.
My at-one-ment with Annie.
Is that her name, Annie?
Annie.
Anna, full name?
No.
Annabelle?
Annie.
Middle name?
No middle name. Annie Maguire.
Annie Maguire.
Known as Nan.